I woke up like any other day. The sunlight was barely peeking through my window, casting a warm glow across the room. The birds outside chirped away like they always did, and for a brief moment, everything felt normal. But that didn't last long. The vibrating of my phone pulled me out of the haze of sleep, shaking on my bedside table as if something urgent was demanding my attention. Groggily, I reached over and grabbed it, rubbing my eyes as I tried to make sense of the incoming notifications. At first, it was a few missed calls. From my mom. A couple of friends. Some coworkers. My group chats were exploding with messages. People were asking things like, "Is it true? I can't believe this happened. I'm so sorry for your loss." My loss? What loss? I hadn't lost anything. I'm right here. Confused, I scrolled faster, looking for something, anything, that made sense. But as I did, my heart began to pound faster, each beat thudding louder in my chest. One message caught my eye. It was from my best friend, Josh. "Bro. Are you really gone? I don't even know how to process this. You were my rock. I'll never forget you, man. Gone." What the hell was he talking about? I felt my pulse in my throat as panic started to rise. I immediately dialed Josh's number, but it went straight to voicemail. I tried my mom, voicemail again. Something was definitely wrong. The final straw was the news headline someone shared in one of my group chats. "Local man, Alex Carter, dies in tragic accident." I sat up straight in bed. My breath caught in my throat, eyes widening as I stared at my own name in the headline. My name. My face. My death. I don't remember jumping out of bed. I don't even remember how I got dressed. Everything after seeing that headline was a blur. My brain was moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour, but my body felt like it was running on autopilot. I had to know what was happening. I had to prove to myself that this was some sick joke, a misunderstanding, something that could be explained away. I rushed to my apartment door, yanked it open, and stepped into the hallway. The hallway felt oddly quiet. I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, an older lady who always greeted me with a smile whenever she saw me. Today, her face was pale, and her eyes were red as if she had been crying. She looked at me like I was a ghost. "Mrs. Thompson." I called out, stepping towards her. "What's going on? Did you see the news? Something's wrong, people are saying." She gasped, covering her mouth with her hand, and backed away from me, stumbling against the wall. You're supposed to be dead," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I froze. My heart stopped in that moment. She wasn't joking. This wasn't some sick prank. She really thought I was dead. No, I said, holding my hands up, "I'm here. Look at me. I'm alive." But she wasn't hearing it. She shook her head violently, muttering to herself as she turned and bolted down the hallway. I was left standing there, more confused and terrified than ever. I sprinted outside. I needed to find someone who knew what was happening. I couldn't keep standing here in disbelief. I had to see it with my own eyes. I don't even know how I found out about the funeral. It must have been in one of the hundreds of messages on my phone. But there I was, standing outside the church, staring at the people filing in, all dressed in black. My hands were shaking, sweat dripping down the back of my neck. I pulled the hood of my jacket over my head, trying to keep my face hidden. I couldn't believe this was real. I couldn't believe I was about to walk into my own funeral. I took a deep breath, pushing the door open as quietly as I could. Inside, the atmosphere was suffocating. The air was thick with grief, with quiet sobs echoing off the walls. I saw familiar faces, my family, my friends. People I had grown up with. They were all there, mourning me. The worst part was seeing my mom. She was sitting in the front row, eyes hollow, face streaked with tears. My dad sat next to her, stone-faced, trying to hold it together, but I could see the cracks. He was barely keeping it together. I couldn't breathe. This was wrong. All of this was wrong. I kept my hood low, slipping into the back pew. My heart was pounding so loud, I was sure everyone could hear it. But no one noticed me. No one even glanced in my direction. All eyes were on the casket at the front of the church. My casket. I don't know what I expected, but it definitely wasn't this. There was no body in the casket. Just a framed photo of me, smiling like I didn't have a care in the world. I remembered that photo. It was from my birthday last year. A celebration with friends. It felt like a lifetime ago now. My ears were ringing. My vision blurred as I tried to make sense of what was happening. Suddenly, the priest started speaking, but his voice felt distant, like I was hearing it through water. My mind was racing. If there's no body, then what was the accident they were talking about? What really happened to me? I had to know. As the service continued, I quietly slipped out the side door, moving quickly through the hallway until I found the small room where they kept the records. I knew this church inside and out. I grew up coming here every Sunday. I knew the pastor's office was where they would have filed any paperwork related to the funeral. My hands were trembling as I rifled through the files, looking for anything with my name on it. And then, I found it. A death certificate. My heart sank as I held the paper in my hands, staring at the official seal at the bottom. But it wasn't the certificate that shook me to my core. It was the date. I had supposedly died 3 days ago. 3 days ago. But I had been alive this whole time. How could I be dead if I was standing here right now? The room spun around me. I stumbled, gripping the desk for support. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. But then, something even more horrifying happened. I heard footsteps approaching from the hallway, quiet and deliberate. My heart leapt into my throat. I wasn't supposed to be here. What if someone found me snooping around? I ducked into a closet, leaving the door cracked just enough to see outside. My breath hitched in my chest as the footsteps grew closer. The door creaked open, and in walked someone I never expected to see. Me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Standing in the room, calm as ever, was someone who looked exactly like me. Same face. Same clothes. Same everything. I covered my mouth to keep from making a sound, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. The other me walked over to the desk and picked up the death certificate. He glanced at it, then set it back down like it didn't matter. Like none of this mattered to him. What, was this thing? Was I dreaming? Was this some kind of nightmare? But then, as if sensing my presence, the other me turned slowly towards the closet. I pressed myself against the wall, praying he wouldn't open the door. But he didn't. He just stared at the closet for a long, uncomfortable moment. And then, he smiled. I don't know how long I stayed in that closet after he left. Minutes. Hours. Time didn't make sense anymore. Nothing did. But eventually, I had to move. I couldn't stay there forever. I stepped out into the empty office, my heart still racing. My mind was a whirlwind of questions. Who was that? Why did he look like me? And most importantly, if he was out there, living my life, then who the hell was I? I needed answers, and I needed them fast. I made my way out of the church, slipping through the back exit to avoid being seen. As I walked down the street, a thought occurred to me: if someone else was living my life, then maybe they were in my apartment. Maybe they were living in my space, wearing my clothes, pretending to be me. I had to go back. I had to see for myself. When I got to my apartment, I hesitated. My hand hovered over the doorknob for what felt like an eternity. What if he was in there? What if I wasn't ready to face the truth? But I had no choice. I couldn't keep running. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The apartment looked exactly as I had left it. But something was off. It was in the air, like the room itself didn't belong to me anymore. It was hard to explain, but everything just felt wrong. And then, I heard it. The sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps coming from my bedroom. I froze. My blood ran cold. He was here. I crept towards the bedroom door, heart pounding in my chest, and pushed it open. There he was. The other me. Sitting on my bed, staring at me with a knowing smile. "I've been expecting you," he said, his voice eerily calm. I swallowed hard, trying to find my voice. Who are you?" The other me stood up, slowly, deliberately, and walked towards me. His eyes gleamed with something dark, something inhuman. "I'm you," he said, his voice low. "Or rather, I'm the you that's supposed to be here. You don't belong anymore. I backed away, my breath quickening. This doesn't make any sense. I'm alive. I'm right here. He chuckled softly. Alive? No. You died, Alex. You just don't remember. I've taken your place. It's my life now. I didn't know what to do. My head was spinning. I couldn't tell what was real anymore. Was I dead? Was this some kind of afterlife? Or was I caught in some twisted glitch in reality? The other me stepped closer, his smile fading. You need to leave, Alex. There's nothing left for you here. I could feel the walls closing in, my mind unraveling. But I wasn't going to go down without a fight. No, I said, my voice trembling but firm. This is my life. You don't get to take it from me. For the first time, his expression changed. The smile twisted into something darker, more menacing. Then you leave me no choice. Everything after that was a blur. We fought. Fists flying, bodies slamming into furniture. It felt like fighting a shadow of myself, someone who knew my every move, my every weakness. In the end, I don't remember how it happened. But somehow, I managed to overpower him. The other me collapsed, disappearing like smoke into the air. I stood there, panting, my knuckles bruised, my heart pounding in my chest. It was over. Or so I thought. The next morning, I woke up in my bed, sunlight streaming through the window. Everything seemed normal. My phone wasn't blowing up with messages. There were no headlines declaring my death. But something still felt off. I got up and looked in the mirror. My reflection stared back at me, but for the first time, I wasn't sure if it was really me. Was this my life again? Or was I still living in someone else's shadow? I guess I'll never really know.